welcome once again to the How Long to Beat podcast. I am Rick, and joining me in your area is Alex.
Hey.
And Paula.
Everyone.
And by your area, I mean wherever you listen to this podcast. We're on YouTube. I've gone way too far to make this rubbish inside joke of 5 minutes ago work. Anyway, no retirements this week. So we're going to go from what we've beaten to what we're currently playing to this week's topic, which is gaming when busy, which we all kind of are at the moment, I think. Mm-hmm. And then relax. We're not going to be too busy to play some more of
How long to beat
the game. There's a long road to build this back. It's just not having said that, the last one I edited, actually pretty on the money.
See, on my end,
nice.
That's the one the end that matters.
Touche. It's the long game. Make you wait and then it will just work. Speaking of waiting, Paula, we've been waiting for months for you to play 12 minutes. What did you think?
First of all, fuck you guys.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Let me start by telling you, I would play Pokemon Sword and Shield or Persona 5 while having my nails being pulled out rather than playing another minute of this shit. Sorry, but there's so much wrong with this game, starting with the voice acting, starting with the movement, which felt very, very wonky. Mm-hmm. I just tried to click on a thing and suddenly it didn't register properly, and it would take me out of the fridge, for example, and then I will have to click again on this fridge and then very, very carefully click on the thing that I want to grab because it is very, very finicky.
Yeah, I kind of forgot
how time pressure doesn't help either. Yeah,
it wasn't really pleasant to play. And as you go through the story, there were a couple of things that seem interesting at the beginning, at the start of the game. But the more you progress, you realize where the story is going, and it is not having that. No,
Yeah, it was funny because we actually Paula streamed her playing the first maybe 2 hours or something like that. I can't remember.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, both Rick and I were doing some errands and stuff. So I was cleaning up this old apartment that we were in for a bit, and I could just hear Paula going through, going, "What the fucking what? How do I fuck?" The whole time. It's just great. Just this quiet background of wait, how do I? And again, when you started playing it again, I just had that feeling of why the fuck did you hire James McAvoy and Daisy Ridley and get them to do those fucking accents?
American accents, yeah.
Just because, I know they're great actors and whatnot, and so they can just do a good job. I'm not complaining. Their accents aren't bad. That's not the issue. It's just you're clearly hiring them for the star talent. You know what I'm saying? Willem Dafoe, you can hear him and you know it's Willem Dafoe. And Willem Dafoe is, frankly, he's amazing. He sounds great in the game. All the actors in the game sound great. It's just just let them sound like themselves. There's no reason they have to sound American.
It's like getting Gordon Ramsay to pour boiling water in your pot noodle. It's waste.
So true. In fact, it would have made even more sense if they had just used their own accents. Because I know McAvoy's Scottish, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty mild Scottish accent that he has.
And Daisy Ridley's British, obviously. So their accents, it would make sense if they're in the similar area or whatever. And if Willem Dafoe, he can have an American accent and that's fine. The world is multicultural. You don't have to make them all sound American. I wonder if that was a request from the creator or if James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley wanted to try an American accent, because I know sometimes actors are I want to do this, but I have a strong feeling it was a creator decision and not an actor decision. But
they got paid nuts, and they were just we'll do whatever you want.
Yeah, sure, whatever, man. It's voice acting.
Yeah.
To their credit, at least they're good voice actors, because sometimes fucking big actors aren't gonna actually do a good job at the voice acting. But anyway.
I mean, they did a good job. It's just the horrid material.
Yeah.
Oh. So, what did you think of the ending, Paula? Did you like it? Did you love it?
Can I unsee it? And no, it was horrible, and so I want to say open ended to an extent, And it was like the stupidest way to end a time loop that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
And
really
it
stupid.
didn't even have anything to do with the story itself. So like it didn't have to do, but it was like it doesn't make any sense. Like even like with trying like okay, it is a time loop, suspensions of disbelief happening here. But there's a limit to it. Like
yeah.
I can't state like how mad that game made me, like without bringing up like comparisons with Pokemon Sword 2. Like Pokemon Sword 2 had a more anticlimactic ending, but at least it makes sense in the world. Here it doesn't make sense in the world at all.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, so go on.
I was gonna say the worst part is it's like I don't know if you give a shit about spoilers, like don't listen on. But like it's like very light ones. It's kind of pseudosciency. Actually, it's extremely pseudosciency in where it comes through, and it doesn't. I feel like commit enough, right? Like if you're gonna do something kind of fantastic, commit. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're going horror, you're going psychological thriller. I just feel like this one like dances around it too much, and ultimately
it kind of tries to explain it, but also be like, don't worry about it, and you can't really do both.
Yeah, especially not in a game where the whole point of the game is like is so meticulously planning something out, right? Like that's kind of the whole point of the game. It's a puzzle. You're unraveling a mystery and you have to do all of these like and it's rewarding you for thinking very cleverly and figuring it out. And then when you find out that the game isn't as clever as it's trying to portray itself, you feel kind of betrayed as a player in a lot of ways, you know? Like I feel a bit like, well, you were asking me to be clever, so why aren't you? You know? Like that's where I get that feeling of like I feel like I put in more. I'm being asked to put in more as a player than this game is actually crafting for me, and that just I don't like that.
Yeah. The other thing is that there seem to be a certain disconnect between the different pieces of the game. Like there were like pretty clever moments of the puzzle solving, like the light switch, for example, and I'm gonna say the closet.
Yeah, I loved watching you die so many times with the light switch. That was great. Like, there's my quick reset.
Yeah, it was like, you know what? Fuck it. This time loop is not gonna work. Dead by light switch. And I don't know, there's something about how the story like progresses through each time loop that it doesn't feel as meaningful when you do certain actions. In the sense of there's so little variation in the dialogue as you progress through the time loops that you might as well like just done the exact same thing or put it like on autopilot. Also, why can't I skip or like I don't have a time forward button that could have made the some of the time loops a lot more easy to digest in a way, because there were like two particular time loops where I did the exact same thing twice, and at the very end I did something different. And it was at the very, very end of the time loop.
Yeah.
The game's not long enough though. It's already quite short.
They hard code in the time skips, which I actually kind of found a little bit annoying. Like I guess it's kind of nice that it says like, oh, this is so you've done something right, so you go through here. But you're right, like it would have been so much nicer if we could just skip forward a little bit. No, couldn't let you do that.
No. It got like super repetitive in that sense. Like I'm gonna take another example of a time loop, and that is Steins Gate. And it has like a mini time loop, I guess, in a section of the game. And every time you do something different or undo one of the emails that you sent to the past, then everything changes in a meaningful way. While here, it feels like every single little detail doesn't really like not all details matter in the grand scheme of things. Which, okay, like it's fair because you can't program like that many possibilities, maybe. But maybe. But at the same time, when you repeat the writing like so many times or don't make it like different enough to make each time loop feel meaningful.
Sorry, that's our fault. We've thrown you off.
I know. Sorry.
It's just arrived, and I just gave him the middle finger because I know that he's going to experience it all first.
I'm sure you all just heard a big knock on the door, and it's because my playdate just arrived. I've waited a year. And sorry, Paula's like right in the middle. I was like, oh fuck! Like this loud knocking on the door as we're going through.
I'm happy for you, but also if you spoil shit,
you're dead.
All right. Anyway, sorry, Paula. Keep going.
Yeah, there isn't like enough like new content in each time loop to feel like each time loop is meaningful enough to the story. So that's like the big thing that I didn't like about the game. So in the end, I did have to repeat the same. Was it 10 minutes? 10 minutes. About.
Well, 12
at
minutes,
the release,
right?
It was 11 times or like 12 times, but I had to do it like extra times because I fucked up like right at the end of the time loop, or like I didn't really get what the game was trying me to.
What you were being prompted
what
to
the
do.
game wanted me to do at the moment, or like I fucked up the steps or something like that, which happens.
Yeah.
So it is kind of annoying when you have to repeat the same 10 minutes, like I'm gonna say 20 to 30 times. It gets old hearing the same thing over and over again, like especially like at the start of the thing, like, hey honey, I got dessert, blah 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 blah, and then you have to wait until they kiss each other, and then you have to wait you don't have to wait then, but if you want to talk to her, then you have to manually skip each piece of dialogue instead of having to just press a button and then let it play out until you see they're not talking anymore.
And I think that's probably the frustrating thing. It's such a ripe concept, the idea of this tight, condensed time loop. And the sheer horror of it, it's crazy how monotonous they managed to make it.
Yeah, like at the start, it was like very engaging. Like the first time it was like, okay, what do I have to do? What is the situation right now? And then you get the time and it's like, oh shit. But then the more you go on, the more frustrating it becomes to go on and like to try to solve the case, or like to see what's at the end of this mystery. Which, by the way, the mystery was like so badly executed.
Well, here's also the issue. Like, this to me is one of the greatest examples of why single developer games is not something I think you should aspire towards, honestly. Because a lot of what I felt in this game was stuff that, had you had a team or you had individuals to bounce things off of and stuff, I don't think would have made it as far as they did. It's like, it's great that someone could do it on their own. That's really cool and that's awesome and neat. But at the end of the day, when you experience the game as a player, you don't give a flying fuck if one person made it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to have an experience that is considered and enjoyable. And like, ultimately, that's not what I got, you know?
I think the perfect capstone is Paula's initial reaction on beating the game. Quote, finished 12 minutes. What a load of bullshit.
Paula 2022.
Yep. What about the other game you beat, Paula? I feel like we've flogged the dead horse that is 12 minutes just about enough.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it was a missed opportunity. It was a missed opportunity because the concept itself of having this tight time loop and like doing like the little things was great, but the execution went poorly. Like in paper was a magnificent idea and actually was super hype about the game until I read the reviews.
Yeah.
Anyway, in a happier tone, I finished Handshakes, and I think it was a demo. I'm not really sure about that. It is a browser game on itch.io where you have this kind of like this maze, and you have two individuals, two people on it, and they have to extend their hands and give a handshake to each other. And shake hands. Sorry, I'm an idiot. English, not my first language. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
And the thing is that this puzzle game has a total of 29 stages, and they're like very, very entertaining. Like the game itself is addicting.
It does look hella cute, actually. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. I couldn't put it down. Like I had to finish it in one sitting. It took me like 45 minutes or so. So I totally recommend this one. It seems it is a demo. Please go try it out. If the developer wants to do more levels, I'll be very happy to play that. And yeah, like it is just a very, very smart little puzzle game. And it was surprising because we were just talking with some friends and it was like, oh, look at this. And he sent me a video of, it was Aaron who sent me a video of someone playing it. And it was like, hell no, I'm not going to watch a video of someone beating a puzzle game. I want to play the puzzle game.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. So I highly recommend this one.
You'll be pleased to hear, Paula, they are making an enhanced version aiming for a Q4 2022 release. So that's before March next year.
Nice. Very, very nice. So happy times for Paula. Paula will have more puzzle games to play. So why don't... Oh, there's no retirement. So why don't any of you take the spotlight now? I don't know which one.
Go on, I'll let you jump in, Alex. We'll save the best till last.
Oh, okay, sure. Also, I can't believe how fitting it is that this playdate arrived. It's so tiny.
Oh, you got the little folio case as well. I ordered that too.
I did. Yeah, it's so
tiny.
tiny.
That looks amazing.
I'll put pictures on.
I hate how amazing that looks.
Everyone will have seen it. It's super tiny. Like this is my hand as comparison. Like it's really small. I'll put photos on the people will have seen it, but here's my new Galaxy phone, and it's like that friggin' tiny.
It's like half an S22 Plus, yeah.
Yeah, half of one, which is wild. I love it! Oh my god, it's so weighty. All right, anyway, enough on the play. Anyway. We'll talk about that next week.
Is it smaller than a GBA SP closed? Or is it about the same size?
It's about
it looks
the same
thinner,
size.
for sure.
It's much thinner. Yes, much thinner. It's actually kind of like the size of the bottom part of a GBA SP. So not the screen part, but the bottom part. It's like that size. But it feels similar weight to the SP. It's very tiny and very cute. And
it'll be a bigger battery, I'd imagine, than the SP had.
Way bigger. The SP's battery is like an hour. with a modded screen, it's an hour. But this bad boy's looking sexy as fuck. All right.
I remember, this is such a fucking tangent. My brother got a little accessory thing that essentially plugged into the battery slot of the SP, and it gave it this little bump. And your regular battery sat in the bump, but the bump was also a battery, and it just gave it an enormous battery life.
Oh wow, that's sick.
Nice.
I don't really know where I was going with that, but that's a thing.
I love that. Anyway, sorry. So enough on that. I'm just very excited. I just thought it was so fitting that it arrives as I'm recording the podcast. I'm like, that's awesome.
That is beautiful.
Right? All those months. So, and anyway, I beat a lot of games this week. A lot of PC stuff. I've just been playing a lot of PC. It's great. There's so many good games that I missed out on from all the years of not having one. Even though I'm playing a lot of games that require absolutely no intensity for my PC, but I'm like, I still love them. One of them that I played was Sorcery Part 1 and 2. So Steve Jackson's Sorcery. This is an Inkle game, and I think it was one of Inkle's first games. And I admittedly don't know a lot about Steve Jackson. From what I understand, Steve Jackson's sorcery is essentially this a book series. It was like a single player
choose your own adventure. It's like fighting fantasy. It's within that thing, but it was a 4-parter originally.
Yeah, and it's kind of like
at home.
It's kind of like a single player D&D adventure, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a character sheet, you roll dice.
Yeah.
You turn to different pages depending on the outcome. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but what they've done with this is they've taken it and they've digitized it, and it is fucking incredible the way they've done it. Like, it is really amazing. It's because you essentially have like, and they've done all 4 parts. I have all 4 parts, but part 1 and 2 are kind of bundled together because the first part is quite short, and it's more of like here, just kind of understand the game, like learn a little bit about how this works. But you can choose between, male or female character. And you've got a spell book, and there are these spells that you can cast, but some of them have requirements, but you can see your spell book, and so you can see all the spells that you can cast. There's items that you collect on the way. You have this map, and you're like a little character on it, and so you'll drag yourself. I think it's also on mobile, and apparently it's very good on mobile as well, but it's awesome on PC. And I kind of prefer PC because there's a lot of reading, so it's nice to have it all kind of on a big screen. And what you'll do is, as you drag your character to an event, a little, piece of paper will pop up. And then as you click options, it'll like stitch that paper onto the next one. And so it continues your story along. And it is really responsive, really awesome. There's so many different like choices that you can make as you're going along. You could conceivably have a different experience every time because you can go through all these different routes and different choices. And something that I really love that saves from the choose your own adventure narrative kind of thing is they have a built-in rewind system where at the bottom of the screen, you just press and you can go back as far as you want and redo any segment, which is really awesome because again, like choose your own adventure, you have to go and you're like, I found death. And so you back up and you keep going, right? And that's part of the enjoyment of it is the like finding the kind of what's a more optimal way of doing it. Oh, maybe I should try it this way. All right, here we go. And it's not always obvious.
You have to reroll immediately. Yeah,
exactly. Right. And so that is actually really fun. And I really love that. And so the first one has you going across these wastelands to get to the city of Chicory. And you're on this mission to get the crown. That's the idea. You're an Analander. You're into this place and you have to go get this crown. And the combat's actually pretty fun too, because the way the combat works, it's this kind of system where you can basically, it's fairly simplistic, but the AI do have different kind of patterns that are actually semi readable because like, monsters are more likely to just outright try and attack you, right? Like they're just going to go. Whereas humans might defend a bit and like they're a little smarter, right? So they're going to actually play more strategically. And the way it works is you have this kind of meter on the left-hand side and you can move your character to the right, which will increase how powerful your attack is. But you're not actually trying to massively overpower enemies. If you get just a little bit over the enemy's like number power, you'll do a lot more damage to them. And then if you defend, all damage you get will just be 1, right? Because it'll be a 0. But if they defend, similarly, all your damage will just go down to 1. And the more attacks you do, the weaker you're getting. So you have to defend, etc. So it's a really like, it's fairly simple, but actually quite fun. And it's got beautiful art. The whole thing is just looks gorgeous. Music is really nice. And it's just a really clever story, and like characters will continue on from other like characters you meet will keep going onward. And it's kind of nice because I would imagine doing the single player thing on your own, you probably have a fair bit you have to kind of keep track of. And this is nice because it just kind of does it for you, right? Like it's like, I know all the choices you made. Here you go. I carry over all your progress as well. So like you don't have to keep track of the items that you have and stuff like that. It's like the game knows what items you have and applies those automatically for you. So it's just like, yeah, personally, it seems like this is the definitive way to play these or do these stories because it is just very well done. And I think it's on like everything now because they put the collection out on Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox recently, I think. Because I know it was on mobile and it was on PC, but they've had they just put it out on Switch and like consoles essentially. And I think this would actually play very, very well on console. Like the system, it doesn't require you to do a whole bunch of clicking and stuff. Like it would be fairly easy to play this on console. I think Switch especially, because Switch I'm sure has touch controls and it was mobile anyway, so I bet you it would work really well there. Yeah. Anyway. Sorry, yeah.
It's worth saying as well, if you've liked that, there is a Firetop mountain game on DS that didn't review amazingly, but it's a similar kind of deal. It also technically exists on Spectrum if you want to do that to yourself.
Is that Warlock of Firetop Mountain?
So so that's the first fighting fantasy before Sorcery. Sorcery is like books 9, 11, 13, and 15, so it's a ways down the road, but same concept, obviously. So if you liked that, it's a less polished version you might want to check
Warlock
out.
of Firetop Mountain, actually. I think I have that.
I definitely have like quite a few of the fighting fantasy books bouncing around at home.
Nice. Yeah, I don't have any of them,
played.
so it was kind of new for me, and I really enjoyed it. It feels like I'm getting a glimpse at something from another decade that, like, oh, look, they've updated this, and it clearly was a very enjoyable thing and didn't need a lot of updating to be fun. Now it's just in a easier to access format, you know? Anyway, yeah, so the first one, it adapts the Shah Mutanti Hills, which is from 1983, I guess. And then it's Kare, City Port of Traps in 1984 is part 2, which is also in that game. And that's the one where you're in a city and you actually have to find clues. So this one is a lot more involved. And there's even like this kind of rewind mechanic and stuff that comes into it that's like officially within it instead of just the normal little rewind that you do. And I really like that one as well. All told, I've seen people, it really depends on your reading speed. With my reading speed, I think I got through this game in like 5 or 6 hours, I think. Could take you up to 9, depending on how optimally you get through it. You know what I mean? It sort of depends. I got kind of lucky with some areas. So I kind of went a little faster. I'm very excited to play the 3rd and the 4th one. I've got them installed and ready to go. And I recommend it to anyone who is interested. What else did I play? Oh, also, I beat Pixel Lines DX. I don't know a lot to say. It's excellent. The Pixel games are great. The last chapter, there were some really difficult ones in there because they're huge, like grids, like 64 by 64, I think, or something like that. And you know, you have to draw all the lines and time them up, and it took a while. When I beat that final, I was like, yes, I am the puzzle king. Even though I'm sure it's like real easy for a bunch of people, but whatever. And then I beat Resident Evil 4 VR. Oh,
nice.
It's so good. I will say, and I've always felt this, the latter half of Resident Evil 4, like when you get onto the island, essentially, there's this island section, it drags a tiny bit. And only because you're quite powerful at that point. And I should also say, this is probably because I've played this game again. I think this is my 5th playthrough. So, like, I'm not really afraid in that island. I know what's coming. You know what I mean? I'm sure if it's your first time playing, you're like, oh God, what's next? So I bet you it's not quite as much. But I do think that the pacing in the last little part of it leaves a little bit to be desired. I should also say it's the longest of the Resident Evil games. I think in total, actually, it might be. I know it was the longest when it was released, because the other Resident Evil games were, you know, like 6 hours or so, maybe at their like max. You know, like they were like the first Resident Evil was like about 11 hours. Well, actually, no, more like 6.5. Whatever. Basically, it's like they're like 8-9 hour games, right? Even Resident Evil Village is like 9.5 hours. But Resident Evil 4 is a 15.5 hour game. It's a long game. Yeah. Now, I think for the most part, I think the only ones that are longer is like Resident Evil 6, but we don't talk about that. We don't talk about 6. But 4 mostly earns all of that runtime. What the cool thing is, though, is that on Oculus, that actually bumps it down to more like the other Resident Evil times, because I think I beat it in about 11.5 hours maybe, and I did the extra because there's a shooting range of this where you can get like little trophies, and it's actually way cooler in VR because the shooting range feels really fun. Because shooting a gun in VR, it's fucking dope. It is just it is what that shit is made for. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how PC...
It's a proper power fantasy, yeah.
It so truly is. And there is nothing better than a zombie coming at you and you've got your pistol and you're just like holding it sideways and going pop, 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 blowing all these zombies' heads off, and you're just like, I am the king! And then they start swarming you and you're like, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. But it's just very fun. I take it back. Yeah, but the I have to say, the rifle is also really fun in this, because what they've done, they did something I think quite clever, where you can hold it with one hand and you can pull it up to your eye and the scope will come up if you hold it up to your eye. So that feels really intuitive. Now, if you shoot it holding with one hand, that fucking gun goes bam up like this, and so it'll come off your eye and you'll see normal and you have to hold it back up. But if you hold it with your second hand and you just like grab on with that, it's gonna keep it steady. But then you also have the difficulty of realizing that, oh yeah, aiming a weapon when you're holding with two hands is actually much different than with one hand, because now you got to think about whoa. And so by the end of it, I actually found myself getting quite good at like aiming with both hands. And so it was really, it's a very clever system that they have going there, where the actual like two-handed weapons actually felt like there was a major difference when you did use both your hands to use those weapons. And then I also realized like upgrading to like the shotgun that doesn't require reloading. That was important, because my God, nothing is more terrifying than when you've got your shotgun, you shoot, and you're like, did I reload? I fucking didn't reload. You're just like trying to make the damn thing reload, and you're like freaking out. It's God damn it, it's good. It's just really good. Throwing grenades feels excellent. The boss battles are super fun. Shooting a rocket launcher in VR is dope. It's just excellent. And now it's pretty much the full game. It doesn't have, I think there was like a DLC that released a long time ago, which is odd that there was even a DLC at some point. But there was like this extra thing, like Ada, is it Ada Wong or Ada Wong? I think Leon says Ada. But Leon in the game says everyone's names differently than everyone else does. I don't think the actor was told how to say any of the names. He just had to say, like, there's a character, Luis, right? He's fucking Spanish. And he's like, Luis! I'm just like, Leon, bro. But maybe that's what Leon would do, right? It's like us calling Paula all the time. When we first started, but we didn't anymore. Anyway, it's a great game. If you have an Oculus Quest 2, fucking buy this game right away. It has the Mercenaries missions in it now too, so you can do like arcade VR action as well in it. And the story is just so much fun and so silly, and it is fan-fucking-tastic. I had a blast with it. And if I ever replay Resident Evil, I'm actually sort of a little sad, because I know they're making the Resident Evil 4 remake, and I'm excited to go play it next year. But it ain't gonna be better than this. Like, I hope someone just does like a fucking, VR mod or some shit, because I know they've done that for the other Resident Evils, but I think it's more like third-person VR. But anyway, it does also, sorry, now I'm just going on a tangent, but I do kind of wish that, I don't know why Capcom, like there must be some kind of, deal with Sony, because I know, like I played Resident Evil 7 on the PSVR, and it's beyond me why they haven't brought that to PC at this point. People would buy the shit out of that. And I know Resident Evil Village is going to get a PSVR exclusive mode, and I understand that that's because, PSVR wants to draw people to it, but...
And they've got the new one coming out, yeah.
Yeah, it should be on PC too, though, man. Capcom, do it. Maybe there's some issue with how they built it for PSVR that doesn't easily transfer to PCVR. I'm sure there is, because I think from what I remember, PSVR is was a bit of a bitch to try and port things to. I think the new one,
okay.
Yeah, I think the new one is actually, well, because when you think about it, they didn't have touch controllers, right? They had the Move controllers. And so when you don't have because now most VR headsets all have the same type of controllers for the most part, just like with little differences. And so now that PSVR 2 is going to have that, port jobs are going to be a little bit easier. And so I'm hoping that eventually they'll be allowed to kind of port these other things. Because if I could play Village in VR, I would lose my mind. That'd be so good. Like, the game's dope. It needs VR. It's already in first person. God damn it! Just let me play it in VR. Anyway, all right. That's it on those two. I got one other one here. I know, so many games. Immortality, Sam Barlow's new game. From Her Story and Telling Lies. I played Her Story. I never played Telling Lies. I don't think I'm going to play Telling Lies, because I've mostly heard mixed things about it, and I think I'm good.
It's weaker for sure. How long did this one take you, first of all, as a matter of curiosity?
So the thing is, I rolled credits at like 2 hours.
Okay.
And I think I did it by accident, because I just kind of clicked shit. And then at one point I was like, oh, hey, what's going on my screen? Oh, achievement, roll credits. And I went, oh, okay. I think I know the story, but I feel like that's not everything. So I kept playing, and now I'm like 4 or so hours in. But the thing, like, I guess I've beaten it. Like, this is a really, really, really cool game, and it's really good. And the I'm not, no spoilers at all, but the concept is that there's Marissa Marcel, who is this actress who disappeared. She was in 3 movies that were never released, and you've now been given that footage. But you have to go through and scrub through the footage like you're on one of those old I can't remember the names of it. It starts with an M, but it's essentially like where you'd have old film reels and you could
microfiche.
It's not microfiche, because I know what microfiche is similar, but there's another one version when it comes to film.
Okay.
Yeah, microfiche is more like for newspapers and stuff. Maybe. Anyway,
You got negatives anyway, or not the negatives, but like the actual original film reel.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have the film reels, and there's like this system that you have where you get to watch them, and you can kind of fast forward or kind of rewind through them. You're kind of like scrolling through them, and then you can click on people and objects, and the idea is that it's going to match it to another frame of a piece of a clip. And so you're gathering all these clips together to try and figure out what happened to Marissa. The acting in this is bar none the greatest FMV acting ever. Like, it is completely believable. In fact, because there's 3 films that span like time periods. So there's like one in the 60s, 70s, and then the 90s. And the aesthetics in each of those like, honest to God, man, some of those films, like, you're straight up just like, okay, no, they went and they made 3 fucking movies for this. More than that, really.
Yeah.
Like, and they actually did. Like, they full on made these
there's
films.
Behind the scenes stuff as well, isn't there? So it's like 3 movies and change.
Oh, there's tons of behind the scenes. There's interviews. There's rehearsals. There's table reads. There actually, as someone who's done film, I got like a little bit of like PTSD from a couple of these scenes, because I was like, oh God, yeah, been there. I know this shit. Like, it's, if you don't know what it's like to make a film, this is actually a really amazing look at what filming is like, because it's quite accurate for the most part, and including the shitty, seedy parts of it, you know? Because again, this is in the 60s, right? So there's some stuff in there that you're like, ooh. It definitely doesn't pull its punches. And there's some really cool story shit going on. And I believe I have, and okay, this is kind of the weakness a little bit of a game like this, is that there are credits, and I feel like I do understand what the story is and the larger story as well. I feel like I do. But the thing is, you can never really feel sure that you do actually know, because there's not really an end, right? And I've even seen people talking about how they've gotten like all the achievements, and they're like, but did I get everything? There's one that says I still don't have this. And I'm like, but I thought I went through everything. And it's like, yeah.
This is the way that some Barlow's games cut, though. Like, they leave it all up to the player, but also they leave it all up to the player.
Yeah. It's a kind of a, like, it's, because on one hand, I think it's masterful, and I think it's going to be hard to up this one. Like, if her story was an interesting, like, entrance into this is like, okay, I heard you didn't quite like telling lies. Well, fuck all you. Here you go. You know, like, that's kind of what it feels like in a good way, where it's like, I'll show you what I can do. And yeah, he did, because like I said, like, honestly, the main actress in this, I was like, girl, I hope you get a lot of roles after this, because you're fucking wildly good. And that's, as someone who had to, you know, stare at her for fucking hours and hours watching all her stuff. She's great. Even when she's acting in the films, it's like, it's just, it's hard to kind of explain how good it is, because you realize as you're playing it, you're like, right, all of this is acted, right? All of this is scripted.
It's people playing people playing people. And
it feels so real. Like, it feels so wonderfully real, because you get lots of stuff before the cut and after they yell cut and everything. And even as you're going through it, there's little things that you can look at. And yeah, there's interviews. There's like, you know, nighttime, late night TV interview guest spots and stuff too. Like, there's all sorts of shit in there that you can look through and find. Now, there's no keyword searching, so that's the difference, is that you're just clicking on images and pictures within what you're looking at. And that's for good and bad, because the reason I say that I feel like I just stumbled onto it by accident is because when I started, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was just like clicking a bunch of shit, and then all of a sudden I found a secret that I think I found way too early, where I was like, oh, and I feel like within the first like 20 minutes, I had actually figured out a huge part of the game. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, here we go. I figured it out. I went along. And then at first I was like, maybe I didn't figure it out. But as I've played through more, I was like, no, I did. I did figure it out. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. And it's cool. It's really neat. And the more I learned was just kind of interesting and like added context and kind of interesting. But I was like, no, my initial assumption was correct. Okay. So that's like, I don't know how to, you know what I mean? Like that's good and bad, I guess. But anyway, I supremely recommend playing this. It's on Game Pass. Apparently it's coming to Netflix subscribers as well. So if you don't have fucking Game Pass.
Netflix have bought his studio. So yes,
there you go.
It probably in line with like a phone port, which I feel like this game is pretty well suited to if the UI is the way you describe it. No?
Yeah, well, no, because it's film scenes. And I think you'd butcher it if you put it on. Well, no, okay. If it was in landscape mode, actually, that would be fine. Yeah, never mind. I lied.
Yeah. And then you click on the things physically with your finger.
It would be tough.
I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. It might be a little tough because there are some small things that you can click on.
Don't spoil. Yeah.
No. I'm just saying there's small things you can click on that I think would make it a little difficult. You know what I mean? But you're right. That would actually make sense. And I would just like as many people to play this as possible because it completely changes what you think an FMV game can be. And it's really cool. It is such a marriage of cinema and gaming that I've never seen before. And we probably won't see again. Because I don't know. I doubt he's going to try to repeat this. He's going to go for something totally different afterwards. But also talk about... Anyway, sorry. What an interesting idea too, though, right? Because most of the budget is just making the film. The UI afterwards is, I'm sure, complex, but it can't be that intense. Do you know what I mean? Like...
It's such an interesting approach, though, because I think so many FMV games get it wrong by like trying to shoehorn the film into a game. Whereas the strength of Barlow's approach has always been, I'm making video. The game part almost comes afterwards. It's like, how am I using these clips to construct a game rather than how am I fitting these clips into a game I already have almost?
Yeah,
and that was always the Night Trap problem, right? Like you try and play that game, you actively have to ignore the narrative and see the narrative. By necessity, you're going to fuck up components of the game because you're missing the bad guys sneaking in through the different bits. I'll be playing it in the next week or two. I'm quite excited to get into it for sure.
I think it's really worth it. I'm probably going to keep going through it. I can't decide if I'm going to or not, but I'm probably going to keep going just to see if I can uncover more stuff. Like I said, there's probably 9 hours worth of content just to watch, let alone.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for me. Rick, why don't you take it away from me? I'm already talking too long.
Yeah, so I have quite a few completions as well, and that's because I went to the arcade again. So
nice.
I've got 3 completions from the arcade. 2 pretty good. 1 absolute dog shit, and I'm gonna lead on that one first of all. Afterburner Climax. Utter bollocks. It's like it's Afterburner, so it's an on-rails flight shooty simmy thing. It's fucking pointless. You're kind of moving around. I'm trying to work out how to articulate how ineffective the shooting is. So you have like a regular fire and you have a missile, and the missile kind of auto-locks and you hit it, but you have like all the missiles, so there's no reason not to just use the missiles and try and avoid damage, which you can't do because the controls for the ship fucking suck. You have a throttle. It's really unclear why you have it and what difference it's making because you're on a linear, straightforward path. You're on rails. Like, moving faster and slower with the kind of targeting it gives you makes no difference. And then you have a, like, climax thing where you run the throttle all the way beyond max and it puts you in this slow-mo where you can fire all the rockets, but it's barely helpful. The whole thing's over in, like, 15 minutes. The average main time on how long to beat is 13 minutes. It's just fucking terrible. The graphics are kind of pretty, but like that's the only redeeming thing that the game has to show for itself. The only thing. It's bad. It's just really, 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 really bad. And in a way that's not even interesting. Like, to go back to 12 minutes, for all its flaws, 12 minutes is an interestingly bad game. Afterburner's just depressingly boring in its badness. Really, really not good. Much better was Smash TV, the twin stick arcade classic. Pretty by the numbers by today's standards, and I have to say as well, the arcade sticks on the one that I was using were pretty stiff. So like I was low key losing circulation in my right thumb by the time I finished the game. It's okay. It's a fun time. I played it co-op with one of the people I was there with. It's okay for that. Lots of asset reuse. It's about 45 minutes to get through. You've seen most everything that's there to offer by minute 15. But it's good. It's good fun. And as with all of these, because it's like free play, you've not got the coin factor, which for Smash TV especially is a fucking good job, because that game is just out to pinch your pennies. A one-hit kill.
Ooh.
And enemies can spawn with no warning from any of the 4 walls.
Oh no.
And the base shooter is a bit of a pea shooter. So you're reliant on grabbing power-ups. They're not always A, spawning, or B, available to you, because it often does this nasty thing where it spawns them on the other side of a horde of enemies, and then more enemies are following through after them. So it's a bit gross. But the underlying game itself is okay. And then the third one I played, and this was a pleasant surprise. I jumped on this just on a whim and had a really good time with it. Fatal Judgement, Silent Scope 2. So the Silent Scope games in arcades are pretty interesting. I was aware of them as a thing, but I wasn't really aware of how they work. So you have a fixed sniper rifle that you can sort of aim around the screen. You see the full screen at the back, and then there's a little tiny circular screen in the scope of the sniper that gives you the zoomed in view. And then when you go to cutscenes, it says scope unavailable, and like you watch the big screen. But the game mixes you between big open spaces and then little tight corridors. So sometimes you're actively like having to hip fire your sniper, and it does a lot of clever things with the way it sets it up. The story's the dumbest shit, like so stupid. The final boss is literally the antagonist dancing with the girl that he's kidnapped. You shoot him 3 times in the head, and then he's like hanging off the actual Big Ben. And the final shot you make is to shoot the handcuffs off that are holding him to like the girl you're saving. It's utterly ridiculous, but a really, really good time. About half an hour to clear through the whole thing. Again, another one that was really penny pinching if you weren't on free play, because there is a timed component as well as a health component. And actually the time component is probably what got me more than the health component, which is a bit of a strange one for the setup. Underlying game, really good. Had a lot of fun with it. Feel like it was the perfect length of what it was. I'd probably play the first one because they had both next time I'm back. So that'll be interesting, because it looks like the cabinets are identical. So they've just retrofitted the cabinets they had for 1 with the campaign of 2, I imagine. So it would be interesting to see if 1's a little bit more grounded, if it makes any more sense. Anyway, 2 more regular completions. The first is Myst, which I said I'd go and play, and I did. God damn, they've really given the game a glow up, which easily done given the scope of the thing. What was so interesting, having the environments as a linear 3D, not as a linear, as a singular rather 3D space, they feel so much smaller than they did as a slideshow. And I'm not really sure why. I wonder if jumping from point to point gave it a sense of scale that it doesn't have when you're moving around it. But a lot of the ages, particularly the Selenetic, the one you get to by the rocket ship, and the what's the gear age called?
Oh, I know
Those
what you're talking about, but I can't remember the name of it. Yeah,
those ones in particular are tiny, like teeny weeny. It's worth saying I've played the game before, so I finished it a lot more quickly. The island puzzles I remembered a bit better. The Myst island puzzles I did not. But I finished the whole thing in maybe 3.5 hours. I like it. It shows its age in a lot of ways, but I think it's really cool still to go back to today. One is like a moment in time history sort of thing. It's a really cool preservation of the spirit of what that was in 93, but also because it's a very different approach. It's very, very hands off. Like the only guidance you get when you arrive on the island is a note that you can completely miss. I knew it was there and I walked past it the first couple of times because they've moved the location versus where it was on the DS version and on the older version. So originally it was on the floor. As you walk past, they put it on a rock now. And for whatever reason, the first few times when I walked past it, I didn't clock it. That's the only hint you get. And you kind of desperately need it to get the information you then need to find your way off Myst Island to the various different places. There's a degree of moon logic to some of it, but it's all both internally consistent and immediate, i.e., you're not off hunting for inventory items that you need on the opposite side of the map. Generally speaking, the clues you need to solve the puzzle are at or very, very close to the puzzle. So one of the nice things with the different ages when you go to them, you know that the puzzle is self-contained within that age. And, you know, in the original, maybe that was 10, 15 screens that you bounce between. On this version, it's little small maps. I think the biggest shame with the Myst series is just how much of in a way, ahead of its time, sort of cross-media property it was. So a lot of the story is contained in the books that they published alongside it, the 3 books of Myst. I think it was the Book of Atris, the Book of Dni, and the Book of Uru, maybe. But I've got them. I've read the first one, not the other 2, but really, really well written. The story is so rich and vibrant and full of detail, but you actually don't see a lot of it in the game. A lot of it's just alluded to. I think that's a strength in a way. Obviously, it was a constraint of the way they made it. It's a miracle that it existed at all in the form and the time that it was, but there's a certain mystique to it. While it is a shame that you don't necessarily see a lot, there's a certain mystique to it. I think the saddest part is the other games in that series are not going to get the same treatment. And it is a full narrative over the 5 games of Myst. Has kind of made me want to go back and play the other ones now, which is cool. Will I? Probably not, but I'd like to.
I know Tiamat gave me Abduction a while back, which is also in VR.
That's by the same devs. It's Cyan Worlds, but it's a different
thing.
It's a different universe, but it's the same kind of gameplay as I understand it. It's similar to the Myst remake. It's like a fully 3D world. I own it. I've never played it. I've heard pretty good things about it. The consensus seems to be if you liked real Myst, which is what this in essence is, you will like Abduction. It's sort of more of the same.
Yeah, and like I've the only kind of complaints I've heard is just I think the general complaints about Myst, which is like fucking stupid sometimes. You're like, fair.
Yeah.
You know, like some of the puzzles. And like that's I don't know, man. It's puzzle games, right? Like some puzzle games I play, I'm like, do y'all know that not everyone knows these kind of riddles? They're like
and that's the thing. There's no way of getting that balance right for everyone.
Yeah,
ever.
you just can't.
You have to try and pitch it as well as you can and hope that it hits enough.
Yeah.
I also have to say, go on.
I missed that note.
That's probably what you had.
No
such a
wonder
fucking
I was
bad
so
time with it.
fucking lost in that game.
So, minor spoilers for a game that's been out almost 30 years now. You know how you start on the dock and you've got the gear in front of you and the boats are to the right?
Yeah.
So you go up, you follow the path around to the left, back onto yourself, and then again 90 degrees to the right. In the original game, the note was on the floor there. In the real Myst version, the one that we've played, it's on a rock to your right as you're looking out onto Myst Island, next to the building with the star charts. That note guides you to put a certain code in in a door that you might have missed to your immediate left in the starting place. That takes you down into a viewing platform, and there's a note from Atris, who is the father of the two guys in the books that you find in the library. He's also the progenitor of the linking books to Myst. He knows the art, which is how you write those. He leaves a note for his wife, Catherine, who you never see in this game, but she's like an important character in the overall story, saying that his sons have betrayed him and he's got to like lock away the remaining Myst books. Like almost all of them have been burnt. And he prompts you on how to find the clues that let you access each of the 4 ages, which is where you find the red and blue pages that are central to the main quest line of the story, as it were. If you don't find that note, there is almost no conceivable way that you will progress.
I see.
And
that makes a lot of sense.
I was like, maybe I should try again.
Yeah,
maybe I should try it
off Game Pass
again.
now. Womp womp.
I was off Game Pass.
You said there's a DS version.
Don't fucking play the DS version.
Okay.
You can probably just download Myst for free. Like, honest to God, like I'm sure like the original Myst is easy to find in some way, shape, or form.
They're all on Steam and they're all pretty cheap. Real Myst is like a slightly less pretty version of this one. So fucking history time now. So the original Myst was essentially a slideshow. You moved from static scene to static scene. There were small like 3D rendered parts that were the puzzle bits that moved around. In the early to mid 2000s, they released what's called Real Myst, which is Myst, but they've made all the worlds in 3D, so you walk around them rather than teleporting from slideshow slide to slideshow slide. What we played is a prettied up version of Real Myst, originally designed for VR and then made playable without a headset. And as part of that, they moved the note. I actually think it was slightly easier to find in its original location. I think it stood out more against the path that you walk on than it does on that rock. Like I said, I knew that note was there and I missed it the first few times. So, yeah, but I really like it. And I like that it trusts you, the player, and trusts its own ability to craft puzzles that are easy enough to pass. With a couple of notable exceptions, and just generally says, yeah, go for it. Like, you can only get so far lost. This world is tiny. Yeah. And I think that's a really cool approach. Similar in a way to things like Tangle Tower, stuff where you've got like a really small place and a limited number of things to do. And the dev's like, cool, you can only screw this up so bad. Yeah. Have at it.
To which I say, watch me.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
And speaking of challenge, the last game I beat was Gunstar Superheroes for the GBA.
Great game.
A great game. I think I would have been a bit miffed if I'd paid like full price for it when it came out.
Oh, yeah.
One, because it's hella short, which the Gunstar games are. And two, because it's pretty unforgiving in terms of it's kind of like a roguelite. Because if you die at any point, you have to obtain all 4 of the treasure gems over again. I only know this secondhand because I happened to play this on a flash drive, or on a flash cart rather, and I had save states, and I abused the fuck out of them. The game's amazing. Like the gameplay is so tight. It's kind of hard to ignore the fact that most of the best bits of Gunstar Superheroes are redone scenes lifted wholesale from Gunstar. The Mega Drive original, which is a shame, but it still really, really holds up. And there's an argument to say that if, when it came out, there's about 15 years between the two releasing, probably fair cop. And it's on a handheld, and that was like a big draw. And the character that you play has more of a moveset. The weapon layout is a little bit different. There are enough different things to justify it. The game itself is excellent. Visually, mechanically, orally. I like the setup. The story's dog shit, but it doesn't really matter. I had 2 and a bit hours of glorious, unadulterated fun playing this game. And I think if you're the kind of person who likes a run and gun action game and doesn't mind punishing difficulty and or is playing this in a manner that you have access to save states, you're going to have a wonderful time. I would probably recommend playing the original first. One, because it gives you a better platform from which to enjoy superheroes. But also two, because it would be harder to go back and play that game after. And I think they're both really worth playing in their own right. Echo what I said when I played the original's M2 port on the 3DS. It's a crying shame that that's getting memory hold. Yeah, Alex is pulling a sad face for the listeners at home, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But no sadness in terms of retired games, because we have none. So
Indeed.
Let's jump straight into playing, and let's do it in reverse order, because I've got almost nothing to say about mine, so I'll just plow through. So everything I've basically been playing, I've beaten. So obligatory, I'm currently playing but have not made any progress on the following. Days Gone, PS4. Remnant from the Ashes, PC. Live Alive, Switch. Where Shadows Slumber, Android. The one game I've actually made a bit of progress on is Serial Cleaner for the Switch. It's already kind of getting a little bit repetitive, and that's not to say it's not fun. It's a lot of fun.
Didn't they just announce a sequel to this one, I think?
Serial Cleaners, and it's going to have co-op, and I'm actually quite excited to take advantage of the co-op. I think it's probably going to be a lot more fun in co-op. I imagine that they can do much more with it when you've got two people to move around. The inputs are really limited on this game. It's literally pick up body, pick up piece of evidence, hide in thing, interact with like pre-canned environmental object, vacuum up blood, and you have like a detective mode vision type thing that zooms you out and allows you to see where everyone is, and what your interactable things are. The style elevates it a little bit. The aesthetic's not one that's done all that often in gaming, and it's pulled off with real panache by the devs here. The game has a very clear identity, and it leans into it, and it fits the gameplay and the theme. You really do feel like it makes sense that this kind of character would exist in the early 70s, like doing all the tidy up for mob hits. And that it's kind of believable that the policing of that time would be inept enough that they'd have vision cones and you'd be able to get away with it all. The one thing that does make me laugh is like the stealth is pretty relaxed, which I like, to be clear. For me, that's good because I'm not really a big stealth game kind of person. The way it works is as long as you can get to and activate a hide spot, whether that's a cupboard or a set of barrels or, whatever it happens to be, even if you're in direct line of sight of the enemy, as long as you get into that hide spot, they'll be like, duh? Where'd it go? So that's kind of dumb, but it makes it a lot more fun. And it's one of those things where you feel like you can recover if you goof, which I like.
Sorry, that made me think of Sniper Elite when I was playing it, because it's like you shoot a guy in the fucking head, and if there's an explosion, the other guy next to him's like, I didn't hear anything. It's like, your bro just splattered blood on your face, man.
The forecast didn't say rain.
Yeah, I know, right? It's
worth saying the game's pretty short as well. Like, I had a quick Google because I was like, do I really want to plug through this? 20 levels. I'm on like level 8. I've played maybe an hour and a bit. Quite a few of the missions I cleared on my first go. Like, the difficulty's not super high. None of that is to say I don't recommend it. I actually think it's quite a lot of fun, but I think you certainly have to temper your expectations going in. The level of mechanical complexity is very, very low. It's a game that really probably benefits from short burst play, which is what I've been doing. And even then, it's not a big game. And also, like, it depends on your tolerance for stealth, what kind of stealth you like. People tend to be very picky about that kind of gameplay. With all those caveats in mind, I really like it. I'm probably going to finish it. And then go back to Live Alive. That is me. Paula, we haven't heard from you in a little while. Tell us about what you've been playing.
Been playing a little bit of everything and a whole lot of one game in particular. Let's start with the smaller stuff. I made some progress on CollarxMalice. I am halfway through the prologue of the game. In Piofiore Faded Memories, halfway through chapter 1 of Nicholas Route. I haven't been playing this a lot. I started Chicory A Colorful Tale, which is very, very cute. And my character name is Cake.
Oh, that's a great name.
And it is certainly adorable, I have to say. And it bummed me out that it only starts you like with 4 colors because I wanted to start coloring right away. But then I looked it up and you get more colors, so that makes me happy.
All good things to those
I like
awake.
very colorful things. And I played a little bit of Pokemon Conquest. I've on my way to my first invasion, I guess. I'm trying to conquer another region of the Ramsay region. And finally, I've been playing a lot of Age of Empires 4. Who could have seen that coming? That is the new Breath of the Wild, probably. And
Well, you had a
I've
big moment
reached.
this week, huh?
I have 2 big moments this week because I reached rank Gold 1.
Hell yeah.
And also, I defeated my boyfriend in the game.
Which we didn't think was going to happen, I think is fair to say, right?
Not for a while. I was like, I don't know, but man,
No.
she got gold 1. Now, so it's funny. There was, like I said with Paula, there's a period of time where I felt like I could maybe hold my own against you and you'd probably still wreck me. Now, you'd fucking destroy me. There's just no way.
We still need to play all of us together. I don't know if against the PC or something like that. Or like make 2-on-2 teams because we can now balance the actual thing now.
Actually, we could, yeah. Though, Rick, you got 1 day
Rick.
left. That day is today.
Are you kidding?
Game.
Oh, Christ. Yes, I do. I honestly, I think I'm going to have to just like, what's the word? Just do it late.
Oh, yes.
don't
Well,
think
obviously.
Yeah.
That's
Obviously, you're not escaping this one.
No, I mean,
No.
no,
We
Rick. We
need-
have very strict rules for this thing we do in our spare time.
To the dots with you.
Yeah. We have ways of enforcing this, Rick. I don't know what they are,
What?
but we have ways.
I'll let you know when we know what they are.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get back to you in 4 to 7 business days.
Oh, God.
As long as I'll probably take to get to play Age of Empires, to be fair.
Exactly.
We still need to like do a first of all play all of us together and then cast the game for the YouTube channel. That would be fun.
That would be cool.
Paula knows what she's talking about, and we'll just mess around.
We'll just be happy to be along for the ride.
Yeah.
Oh no! Why me? Why me?
You know why you.
Yeah.
Good point.
Although it could be fun, especially if one of us really fucks up. It's sort of fun to go on and be like, so this is why I messed up.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm just going to like U-turn. I'm going to pretend I know what I'm doing and chat utter shit.
There you go.
What was I doing? Yeah, I defeated my boyfriend not once but twice. First of all, was in a mega random map, and we managed to end up in an archipelago. How the fuck do you pronounce that?
Archipelago? I don't know. I think you got it right.
Archipelago. I think it is, yeah.
Archipelago.
That's a weird word.
And it is a very weird
What is it in
word
Spanish?
because it
Curious.
Archipelago.
Archipelago. Oh, okay. So it's just the k sound. Nice.
Classic.
Yeah. And like I ended up going for a sacred victory because I found all the secret sites and I was like, oh, don't mind me. I'm just going to take this. And he made a mistake of not immediately killing all my prelates that were like just chilling on the secret sites. And 10 minutes later, it was a sacred victory. The second victory was a landmark victory. Or more like, yeah, you're going to destroy me anyway, so let's just call it a day here. And I was really surprised. We were playing in the Highlands map, the one that has the 2 mountains like to the sides, and like that is pretty much 3 streets to any base. And it was a total, I don't want to say it was messy, but for some reason he was like really picking on my villagers like in the early game, so I just went to Gasful, and then I got a shit ton of prelates because in the last patch, or like the last big update that there was, the glitch that didn't allow the prelates to heal the army and inspire the army was gone.
Ooh.
So I make my small army and probably like 14 to 20 prelates to heal everyone and to like increase the damage they were doing. And I gotta say, it is a very good strategy. Like, they can easily out heal any damage you are doing if you play your cards right. And the rest of the game was history. I somehow managed to overwhelm him and I won. So that was a very big moment for me because I didn't even think that they will come like anytime soon. So yeah, that's what I've been up to this week. Alex, take it away.
I'm a little bit like Rick. I most of what I've been playing is what I beat. So I am playing Ace Attorney 2 Investigations Prosecutors Ace Attorney Investigations 2. I'm playing that game.
It's Alex, the man who teaches English as a language.
I forgot how to read. That's actually my problem. I get so many. Oh my god, I need to do a series actually on the emails that I get. So, by the way, I was feeling kind of sick the other day, and bless my student souls, they're very kind. But I get a message after teaching, and the message simply read, "I was looking at you. You look bad. I hope you feel better." I was like, God damn it! Way to drag me while trying to be nice to me. I was like, shit. And like, also you realize like nothing can get past my students. It's also not fair because, oh no, here's what it is. It was, hello teacher, I was looking at you. I think you're not feeling well. You looked bad. I hope you get to feeling better soon. It's like, that's very, very sweet. But also ouch.
But also ouch.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my God.
Well,
I don't know if you missed that. We said, but also ouch.
oh,
In sync.
Yeah, you got it. It wasn't sync on my end. That's probably why.
Touche.
There you go. But anyway, that's what you get sometimes. My students are very kind, but English is not the strong point, obviously. So anyway, I'm also playing Live Alive, I guess. I will play it. Just my Switch, it's like, until I get on transit again, my Switch hasn't been having a lot of action, you know? I started Cyberpunk 2077 again, actually.
Yeah, saw that, yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, you know what? It's been 2 years and a half, I think. Now's the time. Might as well try it out. Or has it been officially? No, it's been almost 2 years, I think, because it was in 2020, right?
Yeah, it was like December 2020.
Yeah.
So coming on 2 years.
I have to say, from when I first tried playing it to now, it looks way better on my Series X now. But it's still fucking so broken, man. The first part with Dexter Deshawn, right? Like, you get into the car with him. I walk out of the car. As the car started to drive away, it was going flop, 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 flop. Like, basically, the front of the car would go like an inch to the right and then to the left. It looked like it was like scooting its butt along like a floor. Like, it was going like ooh, 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 like I was like, what the fuck? I'm like looking around.
That game is held together with string and super glue and like the hopes and prayers of its developers.
And then I also realized that I'm like, this game's fucked, because it is honestly one of the most beautiful and interesting worlds to look at. Like, it's really, really impressive. But I can never forget. I cannot forget how it was released, and I cannot forget the scrutiny. Do you know what I mean? So as I'm playing it, I'm like, It's a shame because had I bought this now, I would be like, man, this is one of the best games ever made because like it's really, really incredible. But it is just kind of janky. I'm really having fun. I will say I'm having quite a bit of fun. I kind of wish I bought this for PC. I think because even its menus are clearly they're meant for
aimed
PC.
at PC. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's the timeline where they targeted high-end PC and focused on like next-gen consoles, and that game was not everything it promised, but much better.
Yeah.
As someone who loved it, like I recognize that thing's balked.
I know, and the thing is, I'm having fun. I think I'm gonna like this game. It's just, it is what it is at this point, right?
Yep.
It'll never hit its thing, but if you've got a next gen console and you've got the patch for it, never been a better time to jump on in, And if you had a PC, I'm sure you had fun with this game in 2020. I will say there's some good UI fixes and things that I've noticed even just from when I played it the first time. Like I noticed that the main story mission that I played through, it seems like there's some different stuff involved already. And also, man, talk about the corpo role being way better than any of the others. Because it unlocks so much dialogue comparatively to like any of the other people that I played as. Because I did it as the out of towner one sort of things, and it had like zero impact. Yeah, the nomads, right? It had like no impact while I was playing. But the corpo already, I'm like, oh, this is the way to do it, man. There's some cool story here. Anyway, Cyberpunk 2077, I do recommend. It's fun. What else? Dorf Romantic. Remember this one? It was in the Steam Next Fest. I played a demo of this a while back. It's the chill. It's like if you played Catan, but you're just putting the tiles together, and that's the whole game.
Switch suit. I feel like it's a perfect Switch game.
I would say better PC actually. I think this is a better PC game. Yeah. The reason I say you want to zone out with this one, and I also think that you want a mouse for it a little bit. If you had to use analog controls, this game would suck. Honestly, if you had touch controls, it might still suck, but because there's a lot of moving around and rotating that you have to do, it's really perfect on PC. I would really, really do not recommend this on anything but PC.
Perfect Steam Deck game.
Exactly. It's a Steam. I got it away on sale, and I was like, So super relaxing. I guess I've technically. This is a game where like I don't know how you classify beating it because you can't really beat it. It's a score game. It's kind of arcade, right? But the thing that I think is interesting, when I played the demo, I didn't really get it. Because the demo, there was nothing kind of motivating you. It was just like, I don't know, get a score. Which is fine. But the game itself has some really excellent challenges built into it that unlock new pieces. And also, as you complete the challenges, you'll get like variations on those pieces. So you get like new color schemes and stuff like that. And the challenges are quite fun. So, like one of the challenges, for instance, was never place say 50 I think it starts with 25 tiles perfectly, so that their sides match up the sides that you're placing them on, right? So it's like a puzzle mode, and that was really fun. So like I got up to the point where I think it was like 250 is the max or something, where I placed 250 tiles, where every single tile I placed was perfect. But you run out of tiles as you're placing them. You have to complete quests, which is like a certain amount of trees connected to each other, a certain amount of houses, a certain amount of fields, railways, water, and then also closing them off. And then when you complete those quests, you get more tiles, right? So you can't just be like placing them willy-nilly. You have to really think about what you're doing and complete those quests. And so the different challenges allow you to play each round a little bit differently. And so I really recommend going through and like trying to think like, okay, what do I want to do for this round? I want to beat these challenges. And what's also neat is that as you expand your island, there are little like hidden areas where when you connect a piece to it, it unlocks a challenge. And if you complete that challenge, you get a new like actual challenge to do. Like it's like, or I guess it unlocks a quest that will give you a new challenge in the end. So for instance, one of them that I found once I completed it, it was now do the puzzles, right? So there are a bunch of hidden challenges that you can unlock by playing the game. It's really simple. You can ignore it if you want, but it is just the right amount of motivation, I think, for this kind of game. And it is super fucking zen. It's so cute. Yeah, the little designs are gorgeous. The music is just quiet and perfect, and you'll find yourself just getting. It's Tetris-like in its ability to absorb you into it so effectively. It's really wonderful, and it's one that I actually think the demo did a bit of a disservice because it didn't quite have that challenge stuff in it, and that challenge stuff really gets me going. Now, for some people, they won't even give a fuck. They're like, I don't need the challenge. I am a self-motivated individual who just plays games for the chilliness of it, you know. But for me, I need a little something, right? I need a little bit of motivation, and it's quite perfect for that. So I highly recommend Dwarf Romantic. I'm sure that means something. I don't know what, but it's really, really fun and really chill. And I don't know, maybe it is good on. It's also so cheap. Yeah, like on Steam, I think it's on sale right now. It's like US $11. Like I got it for like a couple bucks. If you get this on sale, it's kind of a no-brainer, to be honest. Like it's just a really, really a really blissful minimalist game that just lets you chill the fuck out, you know? Okay, that's it. So many games we've been playing. Which is wild because it hasn't been that long.
No, it's not. This is a midweek recording inside baseball. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, why don't we move on to our topic, which Paula suggested, which is kind of like a nice follow-up. Last week we talked about vacation gaming, so now why don't we talk about gaming while busy AF, which I think we all are.
First of all, you don't. Okay, no.
Not you can't dab, but also you can't dab on an audio only recording.
You put in a dab sound
yes,
effect.
I can, but I need it.
Oh Lord, I'm too old. I know dabbing's. I just don't know what it means. I'm an old man who's on the internet, and I see kids do it all the time, and I'm like, what are these children doing? I'm the grandpa Simpsons old man yells at cloud now. I'm just like,
yeah,
I don't understand anything anymore.
Paula's old man Simpson way is like, we dab. It was the style of the time.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I'm glad you brought this one up because something that I think, doing this podcast, I'm sure it seems like, boy, you play a lot of games. It seems like all Alex ever does is play video games. And it's like, that's not true.
It's kind of true.
Kind of, but not really. Because I have I'm a very rigid individual. Like if they would probably know I plan out a lot of things. But when it comes to like my everyday life, like I'm like, wake up 6 a.m., go to the gym, take the dog out, do my work, right? Like that's like my life kind of deal. So like when it comes to gaming for me while busy, like I have a very strict schedule that I stick to, and I make sure that like the only time I play a video game is after I've completed a list of like work things that I have to get done for that day, whether that's like work or even just like personal life shit, and then I'll play games. And I find that doing it that way for me means that I actually feel like I have more time to play games because it kind of like personally, the reward or like the tantalizing carrot of getting to play a game later makes me very motivated to get my work done. Like I'm like, I get her done and I'm just like, nice. And then I feel calm and relaxed and like I can actually enjoy my games, I don't know. What about y'all?
I feel like I go the other way. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah, I was going to say, I am the opposite of organized. I am pure chaos. Like I wake up in the morning and I choose violence just because I felt like it. And in my case, like I just try to fit, like I don't know, even 5 minutes of gaming between classes if I can, or like, I usually bring one of my handhelds with me when I'm at uni. So if I have a little time and if I feel like it, it's like, okay, I'm gonna just play a 5 minutes of CollarxMalice while I wait for the teacher to arrive. And then it's like, oh shit, he's here or she's here. Bye, Vita. See you tomorrow. And the other thing that I do is like when I'm home, it's like, okay, I can study now, but also I could play a match of Age of Empires 4. And then it's like, oh fuck, I need to finish this homework and da 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 da. Okay, I am not that disorganized. I can like do my homework in a timely manner. I swear. Mom, Dad, if you're listening right now, I am not that irresponsible.
Also, like, if you don't hit the like button, Paula's mum and dad, you are disowned. I hope you're aware of that.
And so, okay, so yeah, like
that was
for me,
uncalled
gaming
for. I
is
don't know
like,
why I did that.
I don't
I
know.
missed part of it, so I just let you go.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, do I have time to play today? Probably. Maybe like just while eating breakfast, or like, especially because I play a lot of visual novels. Like, okay, I'm gonna like put out a player, like just press A with my left hand while I eat this bread with my right hand, or like drink my cup of tea and like stuff like that. And it just works in a way. That's why I'm sometimes like, especially when I'm busier, I play a lot more visual novels than when I'm like on vacation, like have a week off or a weekend off even. And sorry, but for the like non-visual novel, non-portable game, it's probably gonna be Age of Empires for a while, because it's like what gives me dopamine the most at the moment. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do when I'm busy. I just play whenever I have a little breather. Rick.
I wouldn't even say I'm disorganized. I think I've just got that kind of brain where it's like, I've got things to do. Guess I'm going to play Rocket League for 3 hours.
Procrastinating to its finest.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like, that classic, I've got to revise, but my room really needs a tidy right about now sort of mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, jokes aside, I imagine you're the same, Alex. Like with public transport, you've got to carve out no matter what.
Yeah.
Like there are occasions where I'll use that time to get things done because I've got a pretty consistent like chunk of time each way that's like big enough that you can do things in. But generally speaking, that's kind of sacred me time sort of thing. And handhelds being what they are, you can do stuff like that. Otherwise, it's the kind of thing that fits into a Pomodoro. Like if you really need to get things done, for me at least, Pomodoro is the way to do it. And what I will often do, instead of doing like the 25-5 split, I'll do like a 45-15. Because then you can actually get a bit more done in that break split. And I find that if I know I've got a bigger break coming, I can get through a 45. Particularly like the whole point of that system, right, is that once you've started, you find you go on for longer anyway. Like it's giving you a catalyst to move rather than being necessarily about doing a strict amount of time. Again, that tends to be handheld things. One, because they're geared to be ready to play immediately. It's not like playing on a PC where you've got to spend a couple of minutes like going to the program, booting it up, and fucking about with settings or whatever you need to do on that given occasion. But also because they tend to be geared for that kind of play anyway. The games that release there and Switch kind of blurs the lines a little bit, but particularly for ourselves where we play a lot of older stuff, like those games are geared towards just jumping in and out. Mobile gaming as well. So we touched on Netflix, weirdly enough. They have got a load of Android games that you get with your Netflix subscription. And I haven't got to it yet, but I've downloaded Wonderput. And if that isn't the perfect 5-minute in between other things game, I don't know what is. And again, mobile games are designed to slot into those little busy slots. So I think that's where I fall for that kind of thing.
Thing that I'm curious about is how is your public transport? Like, what do you do for when you're commuting? Like, do you take a train, a bus, or like?
I catch a train, and my train is busy-ish, but I can pretty consistently get a table seat. So, like the majority of Gunstar Superheroes, for example, was played on a commute. So, I'd take some over-ear headphones, I'd sit on the train, I'd plug those headphones in, and I'd play. And I would consistently get 15, 20 minutes of just gameplay.
Did you just say a table seat? Like,
yeah,
you sit and there's a table on the train?
We have table seats on our trains. So you have like regular ass seats that are like a bus seat thing where they're back to back to back, or they're like one after another, and then you have some seats that are table seats.
Yeah.
So that's like a table in the middle and two seats either side. I'll send you a
Yeah,
picture next time I get on. That's such a weird thing, but I'll do it.
Yeah, it depends on like what kind of like we call it metro here because the subway. Yeah, when we take the subway, we go like cattle, like everyone like standing up, and there's like just a few seats over there.
This is an overground train. It's not like a subway thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And yeah, and that's the other thing. I am jealous that you can play on a train or like on commute and not fear for your console's life.
People are pretty chill in the UK.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
when you're outside of the suburbs, like people are pretty chill.
Well, same with at like here in Canada and especially in Alberta as well. Like chilling on the buses that were on here, they're very like everyone doesn't fucking even look at you. You know what I mean? Like the etiquette on here is just like fuck off. I'm on the bus. Leave me alone. You know.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and to be fair, oh sorry, yeah.
Go. No, you're okay. Go ahead.
We don't really have like we have a light rail train system or whatever, an LRT, which is like not a subway. It's above ground, but it does kind of sometimes go underground. So it's sort of a hybrid. I don't actually use that very often because it's not actually that like useful for me to get to because ours is pretty shit. But the bus is all the time, and the bus here, like, yeah, you don't have to worry at all. Like, I just have my book bag and I have my Switch with me, and I sit down and play a game. And like, I know my route so well that usually it would take me, you know, at slowest 30 minutes maybe to get to my work on the bus. And it's usually only one bus ride, maybe sometimes two. And so like that 30 minutes to an hour, it's just like, that's a lot of carved out time to play games, right? I mean, that can equal up to almost 2 hours of gaming in one day, which just like, it's awesome. Because I find I can't do anything else. I can't do work on a fucking bus. You know what I mean? I have to take out a laptop and everything. Ugh, fuck that. But a little Switch?
And this is where the train's nice because you get some flexibility. Like sometimes I'll take, you know, notes and stuff that I need to do. Sometimes I'll take a book and I'll just sit and read comfortably. That way you have options. I mean, even with buses, if you got the ones where they have like a flip down table, quote unquote.
No,
we
don't got nothing like that. Yeah, none of that. But I don't really need the table. At least
not for Switch, no.
Yeah, I've never needed it for Switch or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know.
I feel baffled.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's different, huh? But also, you're in a crazy huge city, right? Like, I mean,
you're your equivalent of London. If I was in London, I could not do what I currently do. In my part of the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, like if I was in Toronto,
like, in the most
probably
population dense area. Yeah, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Like what? You're like almost 6 million people, right? Like you're a big place.
We're like half the population is here in Santiago, so it's like.
Yeah, to give you an idea, I have less than 1 million people in Edmonton. Like we're about 1 million, but like it's a lot smaller than Santiago.
Yeah, we're probably about the same. We're probably way more spread out as well.
Yeah, and like I literally seen people have their phone taken out of their hands in the bus.
Oh, yeah.
So no way in hell I'm gonna take out my console there. Sorry, yeah. I'm just finding at this moment because like I want to play on public transport too. Because it takes me between half an hour and an hour depending on traffic. And that would be like such an amazing time, like to just take out a console or my phone and play something there. Also here.
Go on, sorry.
I know audio only podcast, but here's like what the inside of the bus looks like.
Yeah, it looks like a
that's
not super gaming friendly bus. I mean, it's probably not too dissimilar from what you're on, Alex.
It's very similar to mine. Like you know, the classic. There's like one row in the middle, and then you've got like seats in the sides, and there's like a higher up area. Yeah, with like all the seats facing forward, and then a couple that are facing, you know, sideways. But I actually find it's kind of like, I don't know, this is like so random, but like most of them have like a little, like I like to sit in the back because there's a chair in front that has like a little metal bar that I can put my feet up on, and then it creates like this like little shelf with my book bag, and it's perfect. I'm just like, yes, excellent comfort. I've mastered the transit game, you know. And that's also why, like, honestly, so sometimes people talk to me about how they're like, oh, how do you handle transit? Like, that must be so annoying and shit. And I was like, bro, I would much prefer to spend an hour and like an hour to 2 hours a day on transit playing my games than fucking driving for the equivalent amount of time almost, minus maybe half an hour, and just mindlessly driving. Like, I hate it.
When you're stuck doing the activity of
That
driving.
is true.
Yeah.
Right?
You can maybe put an audiobook on and that's it. What do you do on your transport then, Paula? Do you take a book? Do you like listen to music? What's the crack?
I either take a book or stare at the abyss for whatever duration of time.
Sick. I wish I hadn't asked.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
They ask you if you're okay, and you have to say you're okay, but you're not okay.
Yeah.
You're not okay.
Or just look out the window and see interesting stuff happening outside. There's a lot of
Probably
stuff
a
that
lot.
happened in the bus, by the way.
Yeah.
So there's
not...
no shortage of stories once you get to your destination.
Yeah, this I feel like this segment should have been called Gaming While Bussing. That's like the really forget gaming while busy. Oh, you're muted, Rick.
Rick.
You're muted, buddy.
I was literally just saying, I think the consensus is gaming while busy. Duh.
Yeah, you got it. You just got to find time. I mean, it's such a stress relief, right? And lately, this is the bouginess, but like at this point now, young Alex would be so excited because I have all the gaming things that I truly want. And like, there is nothing better than like gaming on your PC, popping over to your couch to play some, console games, standing up, playing a bit of VR, and then sitting back down with your handheld while you watch TV. I'm just like, I'm living in paradise. I fucking love this shit so much.
I mean, the beautiful irony is now that your playdate's arrived, like you've got all this thousands of pounds worth of tech, but you're going to ignore it for one little yellow cranky boy.
Damn right. And they just put out, like, as we were like talking here, very kindly, R2D2 pointed out to me that there's a Playdate community bundle going on right now, where they got like 50% off some of the best community games that have been made. So I'm gonna sideload a bunch of yeah, do it. It's like $30. That's CAD, I think. So I'm sure it's much unless is that USD? It might be USD. Yeah, it's USD. So that's a little more expensive for Alex, but I don't mind. It's worth it. I'm happy to shell out some dough for these community developers because I wanna see what they're all about, Plus, let's be real. If you get the Playdate, it's a boutique thing, like it's for people who have probably a little bit of disposable income,
It is for sure a niche.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
And I'm that niche.
I feel that.
Plus, I just got a bonus at work, so who said anything about saving that bonus?
Saving? What's that?
What's saving? What's saving, precious? Anyway.
And this is the Responsible Adults podcast.
Yes, welcome to if you came here for responsible adults, you crazy.
You are in the wrong place.
Yeah, right. That is not what I am all about. All right, why don't we move on then? Does anyone have anything else to add? I mean, I think we covered busyness and gaming.
Yeah, only that bundle looks dope.
It does, doesn't it?
It really does.
I'm buying it right when this ends. And it will end momentarily right after we play. How long to beat the game? I think it's Rick's turn this week.
It is, and your boy's already queued up a game. Nice. It's an ironic one. Ooh. Or an appropriate one. Ace Combat Assault Horizon.
Ace Combat?
That sounds like an arcade title.
Released October 2011 for the PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360.
Can you say that again?
Ace Combat, what? Can you play?
That's part of the series,
Ace Combat
right?
Assault Horizon. I'm going to post the name of it in our little group chat.
Is that the first of the Ace Combat games?
No, not by a long shot.
It's a spin-off. Gotcha. Okay. All right, freaking cop cars making noise out there.
And in addition to the 1 pointers for main story, main extras, and completionist, what would I like my wildcard question to be? I would like you to tell me there is 100% speedrun listed for this game on HLTB. I would like you to tell me how long you think the speedrun 100% time is. Closest person to that time gets those 2 points, and that time is in hours, minutes, and seconds.
So you said it's a 100% speedrun?
There are 2 speedruns listed for this game. There's an 80% and 100%.
Interesting. Okay. I don't feel really confident on this one, but I'm gonna shoot my shot here. Let's see. Okay. Let's do this. Let's say, yeah.
I'm looking at that bundle. There's one Playdate game that I was really hoping would be in it that it looks like is not, called Bloom. It was like the first third-party Playdate game that was announced, and I do not see it.
Can I? Okay, this might not be a fair question. I'm guessing, okay, the speedrun times are probably really specific, right? Like, it's not just like the how long to beat, like half-hour things. Is it like...
No. It's a very specific time. You're right, yes.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to have some fun.
Oh, no. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to make a really specific time. That's all.
Oh, no.
Let's see.
I am investigating, and the game has multiplayer. What the fuck is 100% for this game?
Okay, I've done what I'm going to call the 3 up, 3 down strategy for this one. Which will make sense to Rick when he sees it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure.
I'm trying to process the speedrun time. That I don't know if there's meaning to that or whether that's just like...
No, I just went random.
Specific numbers. Okay.
I am trying to guess my speedrun time. Give me a minute.
No, maybe I should add my speedrun. Is it too late? Can I?
Paula hasn't submitted, so I will allow a shunt on your part if you do want to update it.
I'm going to do this because I feel like that gives me more wiggle room on each side.
Oh,
are you already half an hour's right?
Hours are in there.
Oh, I already edited it. It's good.
So you did. Okie dokie. Oh, I almost knocked my mic over again.
I'm fast.
I can love speed. So.
That happened.
Oh dear. Don't worry about it. So, main story. Alex says 9 hours. Paula says 8 hours. The time is 8.5 hours, so that's a point each.
Oh, hey.
Nice.
Main plus. Alex says 12 hours. Paula says 15 hours. The time is 13.5 hours. So another point each.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's fucking dumb.
I can't believe that's exactly. Wow. Okay.
This is shaping up like that time where we both put exactly the same answers for everything, Alex.
I remember.
Bonus round.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not that bad this time because there is some variance on the 100%. So, okay. 100%. Alex says 15 hours. Paula says 100 hours.
Whoa.
I have to tell you, though, the completionist is 82. So, Paula takes that point.
Holy crap. It's 82? Wow. Okay.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, speedrun time. Yeah. It's a fucking mad one, and I'm not really sure how. There's like
Yeah, that's
8
wild.
continuous times, ranging from 48 and a bit hours to over 110 hours.
I just assumed because this was like a 360 PS3 game, I was like, it can't be that long. Like, but okay, wow, fuck.
When you say
now
that,
I'm a little worried about my.
There were Gaia games on there, yeah.
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 I did the strategy of like, I was like, I'm just gonna do 3 hours. Up and
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I figured that gives me a little bit of leeway, but all right.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
So, speedrun time. Alex says 6 hours, 45 minutes, 30 seconds. Paula says, weirdly I suppose you've said for 100%, yeah. Paula says 20 hours, 42 minutes, 0 seconds.
Oh, because it's for 100%.
The actual time is 52 seconds, 43 minutes.
Oh, I was like.
And 6 hours. So the 2 points go to Alex.
Wait, it was what?
Damn.
6 hours, 43:52.
That was almost what I put before. Because
almost spot on. Yeah.
Before I edited it, I put 6 hours, 47:52.
Yeah, you were 4 minutes off.
Damn. Well, I feel special now.
Nice.
I feel a little bit nervous because I am right at the back of the scoreboard as it stands.
Yeah.
Alex sitting pretty on 12 points, Paula on 9, and I am on 7 now. I believe
next week is it's a deciding
next week's
moment.
Paula, right? Yeah. So a clean sweep would allow me to pull this back.
True. Yeah.
It's not impossible.
No, you could tie with me, and then we'd have to do another round, I think.
It depends if we're like finishing on this set of run-throughs, or are we doing a third?
Well, we've been doing
potentially next week decider.
Yeah, because we've been doing 2 every time, because then that would give us time it would be October to start. If I win, I'd be pretty happy.
Put it back, God damn it!
Yeah, if I win, I'd be pretty happy.
You're gonna choose Resident Evil game.
You go. I'll give you 3 Resident Evil options. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. I would choose lots. I would give lots. Anyway, it's not decided yet though. Rick can still fucking. I have been blown out by. Oh, that's terrible phrasing. Rick has won. Rick has like defeated me 5-0 before, so it's not impossible. I'll tell you that much. So anyway, I don't want to. I'm. Let's put it this way: I am not fucking counting my chickens until they hatch. All right.
No, it should be 30 sentinels. I guess rim.
Yeah. Oh, like to guess the times. Although I might be able to hold my own on that one. I feel like I spent a lot of time staring at the how long to beat page for that while I was playing it. How many more hours is this game?
Yes.
Yes, kidding. That was because it was a heat wave, guys. We all know that my opinion on 13 Sentinels can't be trusted because I was burning alive, all right?
Correct.
Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's it for this week. We'll see you all again next